we go. Gonna wait for myself to pop up there. Wait, give myself some headroom. Come on. Here we go. That's good. I see Robert is here, Saneezer is here, James Bong, John Doe, 34. A few people already watching. The chat is going. I have a like. Life is good. It's nice to go live and have it sort of be ready to go. Hopefully I am too. And now I've popped up, which means I'm live. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. We're going to continue the chat, God willing, from last night. Hang on a second, I need to get there. And it's a week before school starts here. We're all getting to back on schedule to a school year routine as opposed to a summer routine. Pinky, shh. I hope you guys are doing well. How's everyone's Monday? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, Sunday from yesterday, yes. Okay, hold on, let's see. The chat, oh, welcome back, Pinky, Little Miss Barky. Live chat. Okay, let's see if I remember where we were. Let's see. Wow, I did an hour and 45 minutes. I wonder at what point I had to go there. Okay, no. Okay, a bit back, a bit further. A lot of chat. Wow, a lot yesterday. A lot happened that I completely missed. Wow. Okay, let's keep going. Wow. All right, we keep going. Okay, wow, it was a long time. My apologies for you having to wait. I wasn't prepared when I went live, and I wanted to go live on time. Wow, more. Hold on a second. I need to go even further back. Sorry. Okay. Okay, and the girl from Afghanistan, Mariam, right, a Muslim from Afghanistan who traditionally is of the Pashtun, right, who converted to Islam. Part of them. I don't know if it's most of them or a small amount or a small percent of them. Okay, so that's where we were. All right. So Lewism was talking about what day is it to celebrate the feast of the first day of the year, because he says based on that you will know when all the other feasts, holidays, festivals, dates are. I told him it depends on his circumstances, obviously, and he said, but how are we supposed to count? So I think Aniel Didiau, or was it Netzarim Nazarite, who spoke of right, there's the biblical one and there's the rabbinic one. They serve different purposes, but both are called a new year. There are 4 new years in the Mishnah, right? In the rabbinic tradition, there are 4 new years, each one for different purposes. And the one right now, right, the Orthodox one, the first of Tishrei, the first of the 7th month, and the biblical one, the first of Nisan, the first of the 1st month, biblically speaking. But I'm not sure how he ought to count, and I think that Yodidiao told him the same thing. What does religion do, said El, that personal conviction could not? What is gained in sharing a view of consciousness and epistemic thought? Well, insofar as religion is concerned, right, it's putting pillars in the ground and saying, these are the do's, these are the don'ts, these are the fundamentals, these are flexible, whatever the case may be. Religion and personal conviction, religion is more of I'm going with organized religion. It's more of a communal thing many times, where there's community, congregation, a place of worship perhaps, certain rituals that sometimes may only be conducted in a group of people as opposed to the individual. So insofar as community is concerned, that's one thing. Because many people in a group can accomplish what one person alone cannot, even if it's a very high and noble person. There's still certain limitations that he or she. And so a group together can, arrive at places that individuals can't, or at least not with the same ease, if you will. What is gained in sharing a view of consciousness and epistemic thought? I think it has to do where if you are following a view of consciousness and epistemic thought, if you're following a path that is agreed upon more than less, then you can speak of how that manifests in the world. How do we widen consciousness? How do we narrow it? What do we narrow it towards, if that? And what is it? And where are the limits of epistemic thought in the sense of that which is actually de facto here in the earth? Halacha, do's and don'ts, commandments. You know what I'm saying? In that sense, a group that is agreed upon these rules, regulations, whatever, like the path, the way, then while spirituality and personal conviction may suffer a little bit or a lot, depending on the nature of the beast, personal conviction and personal behavior sometimes might be sacrificed for the needs, if you will, of the congregation, of the group. I think ideally it's to be both. And religion as a tradition, and I'm talking about ancient religions, let's say thousands of years old, I think there's a very existential reason why these traditions, with all their faults, with all of their shortcomings, these traditions were handed down for a reason. There's something there. And when you leech on, if you will, and I use that in the positive sense of the term, to a group and drink of its waters collectively, I think there's less. Because it's something that is collective, it affects you as an individual differently. There are checks and balances. Where you alone, sitting at the top of the mountain, gaining enlightenment, it could very well be that your personal conviction will drive you to the very same things, but the checks and balances may not appear in the same way. Which is why, if we're talking about religion again as an organized religion, there is an organization to it within individual, family, community, congregation. So what is gained is a way of acting in the world together, because there are some things that the individual simply is limited in, the capacity, the ability, whatever the case may be. And in those instances and other instances, but definitely then, the group can be a real force for good. And I say that as somebody who stepped away from the group, right? I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem, but I no longer am part of any modern Orthodox community, and I don't attend synagogue regularly, except for certain holidays, and sometimes not even them, depending on the case. That's good. Let's go quickly to today's chat and see what's up here. Pinky, don't be stinky, says BMXers. That's right. Hey, Canadian Rastafari is back. Good to see you. Good to see you. Sneezer says, yes, I wanted to correct my last statement. I didn't read the Quran as an atheist, that I recall. I read it as an omniist, while understanding all things, not a state fit for humans. Do you mean, Sneezer, that in those instances, in that period of time, there was something that was inhuman about you? Or that it simply wasn't fit for humans and you have suffered dreadfully, if you will, because of it? Because you've mentioned suffering, which is why I'm saying. I added the dreadfully, I guess. But if you're talking about not a state fit for humans in the sense that they suffer for it, is that what you mean? All Pashtun are Muslim. That's funny. I thought that the Pashtun also had, that they were Jewish Pashtun, or that the Pashtun, I see, it's a tradition they have, but they no longer ascribe to Judaism. Is that it? Right? To the Hebrew faith, and they're Muslim. All right. Jaden says, yes, I'm in this chat. Hello, this chat. Hi, look at that. So many lovely people here. 14, 15, whatever the case may be. I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I don't take it for granted. The newcomers, the regulars, those who click on boo and click off. Gotta love it. Jaden says, I have a medical condition that stops me from working out, or else my connective tissues could snap. But I'm tired of people making fun of how skinny I am, calling me Slender Man. That sucks. Having a medical condition that's outside of your control sucks. Definitely ones that stops you from working out sucks. It's not, yeah, I can understand that you're tired of people making fun of you. It's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm Slender Man. Lovely. Can we just move past this stupid crap? Oh, yeah, I'm skinny. Haha. Yeah. Ugh. Are Hebrew Jewish? Nolan Ireland asks. Hi, Nolan Ireland. Generally speaking, yes, but I see Hebrew as a different. I have a different take on the word Hebrew. Oh well, it's a different take, but it harkens back to previous, Orthodox teachings, which is that Hebrew also means a cross. One reason why Avram was called the Hebrew before he became Abraham, right? Avram ha'ivri, Abraham the Hebrew, is because they say that it was as if he was on one side and all of the world was on the other side. He was going, speaking of conviction, right? He was going with his personal conviction. He had a personal revelation, and he was going all in on this revelation. That's to be a Hebrew. Later, Jewish, right? Jewish are the remainder of the kingdom of Judah, comprised primarily of Judah and Benjamin and Levi or Levi, parts of Levi. So if you say Hebrew, usually you mean Jewish. Some people, when they say Hebrew, they mean, no, all of the lost tribes, but not the modern day state of Israel, and not the modern day, let's say, Ashkenazi European Jews. So I consider Hebrews to be Jewish, or I consider Jews to be the Hebrew people, but I also would consider, to, in a different manner, a Hebrew person, somebody who not necessarily decides that he is a descendant of Evil, but mentally, if you will, being a Hebrew, where you decide that you're going all in on something, and you're on one side of you're on one bank of the river, and the rest of the world is on the other bank of the river. You're doing your thing, like Abram, right? Like Avram did his thing. Siam, I love you. Thank you. Much love from Jerusalem. I am. You're a flag. You're a pride flag. Kevin Toby, hello from Germany. Hello, Kevin. Nice to see you, man. Hello, Harry Potter. Hello, Sir Nicholas. Had a good summer. Spaghetti. What kind of spaghetti are you? What number? Right? They have different numbers corresponding with the thickness, if I'm not mistaken. Timon or Thyman or Tijman says hi. Hello, Tijman, Timon, Thyman. BMXer says were 4 New Years in a year in Babylonian paganism as well. You have a booger showing. Kelly Fisher says, let's investigate, shall we? I don't know. Do I? I don't see anything, but that's a nice stupid face. All right. It's good to have a stupid face. No, I don't see that I have a booger showing, but thank you. I appreciate you. They say that one of the rules is if it's something the person can take care of in like 20 seconds or under, or something like that, you should say something. If it's like a quick fix, you have a booger, boink, flick it at someone, it's done. If it's something they can't control or can't fix, like in the here and now, don't say a thing. Wait until you're in private, and do it delicately. BMXer says to Robert, yep. Comb your hair, you messy pelican boy. I am actually not allowed to comb my hair with a comb. I am allowed to comb my hair using my fingers and hands. I don't really do that. Occasionally I'll separate, but I don't comb my hair, and I haven't combed my hair in almost 15 years. Kawasar Khan, hey, what's up? Hello, Kawsar or Kawsar or Kavsar. Hi, hello, what's up? I'll tell you what's up. Good things are up. I'm here, safe and sound, with the family, having a cup of tea. And right now, even at this very moment, there's still fighting going on all over the place. But for whatever reason, here I am, doing this, hopefully spreading some good vibes, trying to find some common ground with some people, and hash a few things out, perhaps. As for Pelican Boy, is it the schnoz? What's the deal with pelican? Can someone enlighten me? Yo, what's up? Shalom, shalom to you. Matisyahu. Well, I'm not him. Curtis Knight. Hello, Curtis Knight. Are you a Jew? Mork, not Gork. Yes, I am. I am of the kingdom of Judah. Welcome all newcomers. Yes, he lives in Jerusalem, said Sneezer. Sde officer? Sde officer? Not sure what you mean. Matthew Del Monaco. Not sure what you mean. You can tell HN working out. I haven't worn this shirt in a long time. And I asked my woman this morning, does it seem like I'm showing off? She said, no. You know, you're on the cusp. She told me, you know you're showing off if there's a kind of pinch here, if there's a contusion of the fabric. And there isn't, so I'm good. Morgnat Gork, stay safe to all Jews and God be with you. Thank you, I appreciate the support, I appreciate the kind words. May God be with all creation. Thanks, Mork, says Splash Fuzz. Hi, Splash Fuzz. A.S., as you are someone I saw in a movie who was sent to Auschwitz on a train, LOL. I don't know if it was actually me, but it definitely makes sense that if you saw a movie about people sent to Auschwitz, whether it's the gypsies or whether it's the Jews, one of them would look like me, or both of them would look like me. Agree about the ass wrapping also. The ass wrapping. Well, if you're talking about Sir Mix-a-Lot, I gotta tell you, I know what he's saying. I know what he's saying. Splash Fuzz, like God understands, that I assure you. Oh, Sneezer, but yeah, I had that before. Oh, I'm sorry, the chat just went boop. I didn't do that. The chat just went boop, and it moved, so I gotta move back. There I was. I agree about the ass wrapping also. Do you mean wrapping with your ass like Ace Ventura style, like turning around, you know, can I ask you a question? That kind of thing? Gork, and to Christians, be safe against Islam, says Splash Fuzz. Ay, all these religions fighting each other. Can't we all just get along? Think about the children. Splash Fuzz, agreed, says Morknot Gork. Sdeteiman officer. No, I'm not in Sdeteiman. No, I am not. Am I your servant? Matthew Del Monaco asks. No, you are not. You should serve the highest part of you. That's what you should be serving. The best that you can become. Peace on earth. Luyehi, may it be. Yes, more than human, intemporal. Right, now let me ask you, as far as you're concerned, was it a psychedelic experience, mind-revealing, mind-expanding? Was it a sense that the senses of time and space themselves were warping and mutating and morphing into each other? Was it the type of thing where it seems that time had stood still? Did time go by in different ways? Was it more like a substance-induced trip? Or was it something else that you could perhaps put into words? You do ketamine, don't you? No, I don't do ketamine. I'm not interested in trying ketamine. Funnily enough, back when I was a medic, one of my medic buddies, he was like, "Oh, ketamine," you know, and he decided to swipe just a tiny amount. If I'm not mistaken, he told me, I don't know, I wasn't there when he did it, maybe he did it, maybe he didn't do it, but he told me afterwards that he forgot or didn't know that along with that, you're supposed to take paramine, which is supposed to negate the nausea. And so he was just vomiting the entire time. Chabimaya Ray, or Rai, hello. Hello to you. Where are you from, Chabimaya? What do you say? What's up? What's up? What time is it where you're at? Everyone should do ketamine, says Yodi Diao. Yeah, I don't know. Mixed with fentanyl. I don't know if that's the best mix. Does that have a name? I know that different flips have mix of weed and acid and MDMA and so on, and shrooms. Do fentanyl and ketamine have their own flip name? Elon Musk uses it. Look at him. Well, just because one person that's highly successful does it doesn't mean you necessarily ought to do it, but I guess I hear what you're saying. Yassin missile struck Netzarim corridor, killing 10, Matthew Del Monaco says. Well, that sucks. 10 IDF, 10 Hamas. Which 10? 10 civilians? He hit the Timu pen with the fent, says Viceboy Korea. All right. Well, that's something I'm not going to do. Mork says ketamine plus codeine plus creatine plus Gatorade equals go-go juice. Do you mean by go-go you'll find yourself at the end of the night in a cage naked in front of a bunch of strangers? That could happen. Sneezer says, and by intemporal, see, you read me mind. I mean both being inside time at a fixed point place while having an eternal mind seeing all points and places. So it's that feeling of great unity. I understand what you're saying, if that's indeed what I'm saying. Bro, don't even want to read chat. Well, I do. I'm just going one by one here. Edison's favorite drink was tonic water with cocaine. Listen, there's no doubt that with some substances, microdosing can be beneficial to some people. But just like you can't fool all the people all the time, a substance is not necessarily the thing to do for all the people all the time. So Nizar says, perhaps yogi can maintain such a state. For me, it was too much by my training. I understand what you mean. But sometimes the revelation that you receive is so great that once you return back to the earth, if you will, and the correct time and place of your, back to what you knew, the afterglow sometimes stays for weeks or months or years. But you hit the earth, and that's sometimes a difficult thing, even with the afterglow. Because now it's a kind of ideal that you need to put on a pedestal and go for, many times anyway. Things that you wish to integrate, and you know that it will take patience, and you know that it will take time, and you know that there's still some suffering to come along with it. To have mind-revealing, mind-expanding experiences, especially those that are not substance-induced, it can be hard when you hit back to the earth, because when you take a substance, you're sort of aware that that's what's going to happen. You may feel in the midst of it like it's never ending, but you know when you take it that it's temporary. When it's a psychedelic experience, a mind-revealing thing like walking with a certain teaching or a certain Torah, and it preoccupies you, and that's that sort of thing, and your mind is expanded as you walk with it and ponder it and study it. That type of thing until it sort of integrates, and when you hit back, back to the earth, and the psyche, and your soul demands, yes, integrate it right now, and it's a lot of like a trampoline. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, and when you go down, you go sometimes very down. Not fun. I hope that you weren't in such a bad state when you were back, right? When you were back to being temporal. When the time-space continuum continued, as it were, if you will. The best feeling I've ever had was ketamine and cocaine plus alcohol. Well, I wouldn't know. Again, that's something I don't plan on doing. You're a wizard, Harry. I'm a Harry Potter fan right here. Don't do that too often, though, right, Splash Fuzz? Right? You gotta have the right mentality. You gotta treat these things with respect. Some respect anyway, or they will do you in. They will do you in, turn you into a liar and a cheat and a thief and a scoundrel. Shalom GTS, everyone. Blessings y'all, says James Bong. Yo, WTF, says Viceboy. I don't know what you were referring to, but yes, WTF indeed. Like the dispatch. Wait, I'll reach up there and clear them out for you. Hold still. Clear out what? I'm not following you. Not following you right here. Yo, did Elon Musk is from South Africa. Malcolm G says, why do they call them apartments when they are so close together? Ha 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 ha. It's a good question. They should call them proximants. Neither says to Splash Fuzz, the best feeling is knowing God forgives you. Second chance. There is something. Rav Kook says in the lights of returning, the lights of repentance, the Ota Tshuva, he says those moments when one is in true repentance, truly returning, even though he doesn't know exactly how he's going to extricate himself from his own bullshit. He doesn't know how he's going to get himself unstuck, unscrewed up. He doesn't know. But that desire and that idea that takes hold in your mind, that starts to affect your everyday, your waking and your sleeping states of returning, of being all you can be, of having that forgiveness, something where you forgive yourself and you just continue onward on the path of righteousness. That second chance. And Rabbi Nachman famously said sometimes you need to start over every day, several times a day. It's like you just got to keep going, right? What did Uncle Iro say, right? If you just keep going, you will come to a better place. So yeah, the feeling that God forgives you, if you will, that's how you put it, Sneezer. That feeling of, I can do this. That is really a great feeling. Bloodnose says, why do people just show up to insult? These are the people who don't need in the world. Well, those are the people we don't need in the world. I think we all serve a purpose. And adversaries and naysayers and pearl clutchers. Oh, a dirty Jew. That's just the way it is. We gotta keep striding, right? We gotta not lose our stride. Keep on going. Why do people just... Oh, I'm sorry, I just read that. Why don't you comb your hair? Because I have taken a vow of the Nazarite, as it says in Numbers chapter 6, and as such I am supposed to let my hair grow wild and untamed and free. And so what happened is that I have organic, natural, free... In fact, I'll bring them to the foreground here. Natural, free-form dreadlocks. Some call them organic, some call them free-form, some call them neglect, though I don't particularly neglect them. Sometimes I do. Oh, let's be real. More than forgives, understands. So, Sneezer, if I hear what you're saying, it's like that revelation of God that you're able to communicate with on a higher level. That's the best feeling, is when you understand each other to the degree that you can. Yes? Headbutting, you can't comb dreadlocks. Headbutting? Did I miss something? Mork, we are all attempting to be closer to God. Shalom. Good for us, and good for you.
Well, don't we have any lemons?
I'm not sure, my love. Seek and you shall find. Maybe you could take one of the lemons that's not quite ripe, but ripe enough from the tree.
It's for my hair,
not in seeds.
so-
I don't know. Maybe it needs to be ripe then. I say do it a different night. You're trying to lighten your hair with lemon?
Yeah.
Do you dilute it?
What's that?
To dilute is to put it in a shampoo or to dilute it with water, to mix it with water. You don't put it straight up, all right?
No.
Some say you could,
I don't
but you should probably, it's very, very potent. You should probably dilute it with something. Mix it with something.
know.
Okay, wait, I lost my place in the chat again because this thing keeps jumping occasionally. Well, it doesn't keep jumping. Occasionally it does. Here we are. Bloodnose, trolling is fun when you don't understand. Proving others don't understand. Wait, trolling is fun when you don't understand. Proving others don't understand. Jokes on them. Well, you know, trolls are trolls. A joke is a joke. I don't have to get it. I can think sometimes some jokes are in poor taste, but hey, freedom of speech and all. My wife and her family is as well. Attempting to be closer to God. Good for you. It's nice when the whole family can be united in a positive way. Do you like Mobb Deep? I do not know what Mobb Deep is. Is it a genre of music? Is it a group? Is it a band? So I don't know. Moist Trash. Love the username, my man. Love it. Sanitzer says, but yeah, I had that before and it feels the best. Like God understands, that I assure you. Splash Fuzz, what's ketamine? So if I remember my medics course, ketamine is a relaxer. It relaxes your muscles. It's a downer, perhaps, right? And if you're using it recreationally. It's used, or at the time was used, before intubation. Before the doctor or paramedic that I was assisting would put a tube down there if breathing was constricted, or well, if it was a problem, to find a definitive airway, as they call it. They would use ketamine. And what, Dramamine? No, not Dramamine. I don't recall. So ketamine is a drug. I think it's a downer, right? A relaxer, a muscle relaxer. Both God forgives and understands. More so forgives, says Splash Fuzz. I say more so understands. When one understands, forgiveness is not needed. Now, what do you mean, Sneezer, when you say when one understands, forgiveness is not needed? You say that we can do a lot of things that are bad and wrong because of misunderstanding. You say that there's a lot of hate because of misunderstanding. Is it like a light switch? Is it a dimmer switch? How do you see it? When one understands, forgiveness is not needed. If I come to a sudden illumination, an epiphany, and I do understand, but a moment before, 5 minutes before, I was still in my misunderstanding, still in my inadequate state, is forgiveness not then needed for myself in order to continue even more righteously now that I do understand? Or do you see it as a real shift of consciousness to such a degree where forgiveness or lack thereof is simply irrelevant? What do you say, Suneezer? Splashfuzz says to BMXers, anesthetic for surgery, but later got adopted for therapy. Right, say for surgery, but I think of field surgery, because being a field medic. We only control intent, God controls result. God controls results, right? The adversary sets things up. We have intent and action. And when it comes to action and reaction, God controls results. We to the degree that we do good and abstain from evil, to the degree that we do evil and abstain from good, we send our bread upon the waters. What arrives back is in direct correlation, at least according to one specific lens of like total justice, even though that's not how the world precisely operates. It's a mixture of right and left that leads to the center. And so you could have different odds and ever-changing relationships between the left hand and the right hand, between chesed and din. Intent is something you have. Action is something you have even more so. Intent is intellectual. Intent could be even verbal. But in action, in what happens on the ground, that's what we have control over. The result, you could say God controls, but we get what we give, at least in some sense. And there are some senses where it's uma'arich af, right? Where God, as he says many times with the prophets, does not desire to eliminate the wicked man. He would rather if the wicked man would repent and become a good guy. That would be the best. Even though somebody is guilty of something, if you will, time and pause is given in order for repentance to occur, atonement to take place, to return to the covenant, to the Torah, to the commandments, to God, whatever the case may be, or all of the above, whatever. But it's not just intent. I tend to disagree with that. Blueberry tea again this evening. I love it. Hit the like button, says Robert, and I do appreciate every like and every sub, every comment, every view, every quick glance, every people who stay and become regulars. It's always fun. It's lovely that the group is growing to such a degree, and I have a backlog of so many chats from last week and this week, and it's becoming something where I'm happy to be in this place. You people are making it happen. I am joyous and content at this moment, right here, right now. Such good vibes. I'm so enlivened, not least by your presence here, and your kind words, and your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge, your trolling, because it's always a comic relief to deal with a troll. So if at some point we're dealing with something, let's say, very heavy, and some troll comes in and says, "Hey, you look like something I stepped in last week," and I go, "Yup, that's me," and then, okay. Splashfuzz says to Suneezer, well, once you understand, you'd have to commit to the right action afterwards. Really? I think we can understand one thing in one way but act in a different way. That's called a cognitive dissonance. It happens every day, all the time. I know it does to me. Knowingly doing something wrong feels the worst. Yes, it feels the worst, but it does happen. Opposite of your best given. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so that's like the other side of the spectrum, if you will, on what's the worst. Getting to a shitty place and knowing that it was you who put yourself there, right? You do it to yourself, you do. That's what really hurts. Radiohead, they know what they're talking about. Effect became cause, said Sneezer, as I could see the full variance of all loops. So by loops, do you mean that it comes back around? Or is it a spiral that doesn't loop on its... Is it like an Ouroboros, right? The snake that is devouring its own tail? Or is it something where it's snakes that sort of go out in space and time, if you will? Because I know I'm trying to understand what Sneezer, where you stand on it, and you do... If you have a video where you speak, let's say, up to a half hour, on your thoughts on time and space and where you were at when you were receiving your revelation, if you will, and where you're at now, and how do you see widening that area of perception. If you made a video on that, I'd love to see it. I mean, even if it's more than a half hour, obviously I'll see it in segments, but I'd rather see such a thing in one go. He handles the trolls so great, says Robert. Usually they handle themselves. Matthew says, you're truly a good dude. I love your humor. Stay safe. I appreciate the kind words and the support. Humor, man, if we can't laugh at certain things, obviously there's a time and a place, but we need to be able to laugh at everything. Every single thing is laughable in the right context, the right time, the right place, the right crowd, and you could make it funny. Ella, hi. Hello, Ella. I hope everyone has peace inside, because then that's what will come out. And a smiley with smiling eyes, and not for naught, because truly, when you have peace inside of you, you are able to be more peaceable to your fellow man. And that stone of peace that you throw into the pond of creation, it just goes... Our sages say, Ein kli machazik bracha yoter min hashalom. The prayer for peace is the final one in what's called the Shmoneh Esrei, which is the silent prayer that's recited several times a day. And the final one is about peace, because it's sort of something which enables all of those other ones to take place. It starts on the level of the individual and spreads out to all creation. To be at peace, some people are able to be at peace all the time. I have no idea how they do it. I sure as hell can't be at peace all the time. I have my demons. Definitely have my demons. And I'm not in peace with them. And I'm not in peace when they manifest. I'm not in peace with them. Let's leave it at that. So that's what will come out. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ella. So neither says to splash files. Yes, but ultimately, we have only one choice, to do and act honestly, and hopefully to learn from it. From your mouth, huh? These are words of wisdom. I fail at that every single day, but I'd like to think that I'm able to stick to the path of honesty, more than I'm not. That's the best I can hope for. But for it to compound, and it does compound, right? What did Samuel Clemens say, right? Mark Twain, a man who always tells the truth doesn't need to remember what he said. You don't need to remember what you said to this person on that date in those circumstances, the lie you covered up with a different lie. You don't need to all the different things you were spinning, all the webs. It usually comes back to kick you in the ass. Usually. There are always exceptions to the rule. Even if misguided honesty leads to truth, while deceit is all we can do to delay God's will. Yeah, I'm also inclined to go with that, and you've mentioned things like that before, and I'm on board with that. It's true. By the way, I hate how competitive people are today, says BMXers with dreadlocks. That's why Bob Marley said we all survive in this world of competition, because no matter what they do, dready people coming through, and no matter what they say, dready do them every day. Natty Dread rides again. Do-do-do. Through the... Yes, says Sneezer, it was a feeling of deep connection and unity, seeing the purpose of all things. That is lovely. Do you think you're going to be boiling in your own poop in the afterlife? I think that that is a physical way of conveying, right, something that was written down, an oral tradition that was written down. And it says something about the nature of transgressions, and it says something about the nature of what comes out of you that can be good and bad. It says something to the nature of you heating yourself up. Chimum shel yetzer hara, it's called. You know, your blood was boiling, you were lusting, you know, your heart was pounding, and now you'll be boiling in your own excrement. So after life, as I see it, if you're talking about after this death, ahoy, milady. You okay? Oi. If you need me, tell me. Okay? Okay. So, do I think I'm going to be boiling in my own poop in the afterlife? I think that I'm not ruling it out. And if it does happen there, I would be deserving it. However, we don't have a hell in the Hebrew faith, right? That's something that shows up later, basically, right? And we have things that are, let's say, closer to the Christian purgatory, where it's something temporary, cleansing, purgation, right? Purgation means cleansing, to purge. And in that sense, the afterlife, that afterlife is temporary. Since you left orthodoxy like Yeshua, well, like I said, it will always be my home. I say that all the time. I stepped away from it, didn't leave it completely. But I'm thinking that if I am boiling in my own poop, and that is the true divine justice based on the life that I led, not because I left orthodoxy, but because of the life that I led, all of it, as such, not because I did this, that, or the other. The life that I led, pure and simple. If we're talking about that revelation of tzedek and of din, those scales of justice, and I am found wanting, that I was too much of a piece of shit to myself and to others, then I would know in my heart of hearts, if you will, that it was justice. I hope that I am able to lead such a life where I will not be boiling in my own poop, whether it's metaphorical or figurative, in the afterlife. But these are physical terms, right? Boiling, poop. And it's meant to convey something about the nature of crime and punishment. Same with the boiling semen, by the way. Oh, the revelation was enormous, has explained much to many. You can feel some poople. You can feel some poople in my own poople. You can fool some people all the time, but you can't fool other people all the time. Yep. Sneezer says, very much so. When you don't dose, it begins with WT bloody F. I was in such a bad place, said Sneezer, and with no support but God, but I was heavily protected in unseen ways. It's interesting. And you knew that going in, or you say this retroactively? I've seen HN handle trolls with humor that they start asking him serious things. Yes, sometimes they do that. And it's that turnaround is always lovely. Ketamine therapy is a viable legal treatment for depression in California. It's good. It's good to experiment with such things in a proper way, in a therapeutic way, in a positive way, right? It's conducive to healing. The end may not always justify the means, time, place, set and setting, right? The integration you spoke of that just clicked a piece of my life together for me, thanks. Hey, I'll tell you mine. When I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem, and when I was in 12th grade, I knew that I didn't want to join the army immediately. I said I need some time off to learn some Torah. I was going to go for only 1 year of yeshiva, and I ended up staying for 3. The reason I ended up staying for 3 is because coming close to the end of the first year and going into the army, I was a couple of months away, and I'm like, nope. I need to tell them I must postpone it. I want to keep learning, and I did. The army obliged graciously to defer the draft. Later on, I was drafted after nearly 3 years in yeshiva. And in my 12th year, I went to the only yeshiva that I wanted, the only place I knew that I wanted to be, Tzfat, the holy city of Tzfat, corresponding with the element of wind, and one of the 4 holy cities, and I'd been there before, and it's breathtaking and amazing, and the energies there are unbelievable, and the people are unbelievable, for better or worse. And I went there for a few days when I was in 12th grade to check out the yeshiva and to enroll, to ask them, hey, you have any room? Shut up and take my money. And there when I was meditating, staring at the Meron mountain, out in nature, on the edge of the forest, next to the Wadi, next to the... and something fell upon me, a great understanding. And I could not return to... My life was never the same after that. And when I came back, literally, from Tzfat to Yerushalayim, from the yeshiva to my home, and I knew I had to change a few things about the way I'm living my life. And it took a long time to integrate because in the beginning, it was a few days of me. Life was beaming. I was feeling God's grace continuously, for like 3 days, just, oh. And all the while living life, eating, etc., talking to people, but feeling it like viscerally. And then I got back to Yerushalayim, and I got back to my regular life, so to speak, in 12th grade, where I need to continue going to school and do my own thing. And then the year after, go to Tzfat for a year, or so I thought, 3 years. The come down from Tzfat and the epiphany, the revelation, the great understanding that fell on me in that moment, that coming down from that into this world, knowing that that's something that I want to be chasing in a positive way. That was so difficult. It took time to integrate. I had to sort a few things out in my life as it was, where am I? What am I doing? I can't spend, bekitzu, in short. There are certain times when later on, as you are going through a process of integration, things will click. Sometimes you'll feel it. Sometimes it will barely be noticeable because it becomes something habitual, something in your mind and your psyche, something that is manifesting physically in your behavior, the way you speak, the way you comport yourself, right? How you act in the world. The psychedelic experience, and again, especially those that are not substance-induced, but also those that are substance-induced, if you take the time to integrate it properly and to understand, to give yourself to give yourself permission to be patient and to strive, to want to come to that understanding now through proper means that are not temporal, that simply become part of you for all times. Something like that, something with roots, something that takes root and you help that root grow every single day. A lot of things can click together, for sure. And then there's always another process of integration, because there's always another challenge, and there's always something else, perhaps, that you are doing wrong, or you want to understand, an ideal. Integrating. Sneezer says, only once so many had verified it was not insanity. Only once so many had verified it was not insanity, that the revelations had indeed taught me much, said Sneezer, did it get significantly easier. Oh, so you went for a period of time where you were unsure if you were sane. That's heavy, man. That's really intense. I've never doubted what I would call my sanity. Though I do believe in silliness, and I do silly things, but that's not the same thing. Canadian Rastafari, Sneezer says, that integration is the awakening that so many are experiencing. BMXer says, by the way, a meteor fell in South Africa in the sea last night or yesterday somewhere. I hope nobody was injured. Many Christians here are probably going to say it's the beginning of the end of the world or something, but there's always been meteorites, etc. How large what was the diameter of the meteor? On not being needed, said Sneezer. I too was one who just insulted many, prided myself in destroying people's faith, because I thought it merely ignorance. Joke was on me, of course. Yeah, joke's always at our expense sometimes. Always sometimes. Sometimes the joke is at our expense. Free Palestine, says Uchkun Gulomov. I agree. Free Palestine from terrorism. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from fundamentalist Islamist jihadists. Free the Gazans. Free the people of the West Bank who desire peace. And may we live side by side with each other in peace. Thank you, Uchkun, for supporting Israel. Thank you. K. Kara 154. Krishna is the original name for God. Krishna has many other names. To the Jews, he is Yahweh. To the Christians, he is Jehovah. To the Muslims, he is Allah. Yes, there are many names to many different revelations. But I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me, and there are many names. Some are more prominent than others. James Bong, have you ever seen the show Kill Tony? I have not. It's a comedy show based... Oh, by the way, I noticed when I was going through... I had to comment something to someone on one of my videos, and I was a recent one, and I was watching my hand go back and forth, and I know because I'm moving my legs down here. And I thought to myself, wow, if you would highlight just my torso and down, it would totally look like I'm masturbating. But I'm not. James Bong, it's a comedy show based out of Austin, Texas. If not, check it out sometime on YouTube. Is it a YouTube show or is it a channel on a channel or streaming service? I'm just curious. Hold on. Kill Tony. I'll put that in my notes. Pardon me. Okay. Agree. Free Palestine from Hamas, says Mork. Yes, indeed. Free Palestine from Hamas. That's what I'm saying. And may there be peace in the Middle East. Peace all over the world. But the understanding, says Sneezer, that God understands us so well, shows us why we live so long, to get more time to do right. Well, that's true according to the prophets. BMXer says, HN, I saw a night at the museum 3. Oh, really? There's a third? Where Ben Stiller has dreadlocks. Well, he's a caveman as well, but it's crocheted, not even freeform locks. Well, what are you going to do? You gotta use something that's believable and conceivable, and crochet is a viable method of making dreadlocks. But yeah, freeform, I'm not an elitist of any kind, but freeform has certainly taught me a lot that I think other methods, if you will, right, where it's made and not created, it's a different journey, I suppose. It's a different journey. To start literally from scratch. Ben Stiller, he's a funny guy. And God understands, said Sneezer. Some wrong will come with that right. But if it were more wrong than right, God can and will deal with us, right? There's a revelation of anger and judgment, and this also we see in the prophets. Eventually, the good things, the balance simply shifts towards the negative and the evil, and evil must be dealt with, even if it is coming from those who were supposed to be doing good. BMXer says, most people today probably never heard of freeform dreadlocks. Heard of it? I don't know. You sure? Fat Gremlin. I love the username. Oh, wow. I mean, Gremlins 1, Gremlins 2. Have there been others except for 1 and 2? As a child of the 80s. Gremlins, what a classic. Why does God/Jesus give babies cancer? Well, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And I'm not a follower of Jesus. I'll just say that there is a random element to creation, because God manifests in different ways in creation. Some are very just, some are very completely 50-50, if you will, good and evil. And sometimes there is some evil in the world that is allowed to infiltrate, because this is a world of good and evil. And it doesn't run down the line 50-50 separate, right? The world is not split up into good people and Death Eaters. There's good in all of us and there's bad in all of us. And in the very same way, there's good and bad in creation, which means that sometimes that bad is manifested. Think of the most horrible thing that you've done, and maybe it's not so horrible, but it might be horrible by your definition, fat gremlin. In the very same way that you yourself can execute and do horrible things and carry out horrible things, to the degree that you personally, by your own definition, would consider them horrible, again, to the degree that you can do that, there is also a revelation of God in the world where it is given reign to do harm, even to those that are good and innocent. Just like people who are innocent and good die in war. People, babies, barely lived. And how they have those tiny little graveyards. Hey. So why I'm not God, I cannot speak for him. As for why the divine presence is revealed in such seemingly heartless, careless, random, arbitrary judgment of the fatal kind, it's because that also exists within creation. In order for the counterforce of unbridled good, unmitigated kindness, positive energies and wonderful, kind people beyond belief, who do good in the world, who make the world a better place, who save people from cancer, who help babies live out their lives where they don't have the disease. It's something where there's zelu umat ze asa Elohim, right? This against this. And I don't know why. And it's a sad, sad thing. Trump 25 says Fat Gremlin. Mork Not Gork says, you remind me of Morgan Mindy. Ketamine started as a horse trank. That's correct. So that's what I remember from the medics course. It started off as a horse tranquilizer, if I'm not mistaken. Kill Tony is one of the last shows to be done in front of an actual live studio. What do you mean one of the last? People still perform live. I know what? How do I know? Maybe not. Trump Israel 2024 says T purpose, T found T. Have you found T in purpose as in its truth? Or is it like a cup of tea? Or is it a golf tee? Or is it a t-shirt? It's a dissociative, says SP. Oh, so not cognitive dissonance, a dissociative. Okay, thank you for enlightening me. What are the finer points of dissociativeness? Or are you talking about what Sneezer went through and not what I said was cognitive dissonance? What tribe are you from? I am traditionally of the tribe of Levi. Jarvis Jones. Uchkun, shut up, we will free Palestine from world map, says Tejas 17. Now, there are good, honest, hardworking, peace-loving Palestinians who don't deserve to be living under the thumb of, anybody but God, if you will, and this war is doing horrible things on both sides all the time. This war and every war. World peace, says Mork. Peace under God. Lu Yehi. May it be. May it be. So Nezer says, when one has the understanding that what they do, they ultimately do to themselves, forgiveness is entirely irrelevant. More for the victim. More than what we do to ourselves. What we do to God. Right, so that's where we split, but I definitely agree we do it to ourselves. There's actually a difference of opinion, a dispute among the scholars and the sages on whether or not the soul is harmed in some way when we transgress. Or is it the divine revelation, and that later comes down to us through different physical, maybe an illness, an inconvenience, a disease, or trials and tribulations. But is the soul always pristine and divine in origin, if you will? Or is the soul damaged? Can parts of it be, can they be affected by our deeds? So when you say that it's what we do to ourselves, what we do to God, I won't say what we do to God, but I'm still unsure precisely of, in relation to just me, I'm not sure how to go about that. I'm still on the fence, let's say. I think it's both, really. Ella says, I think God is in everything and everyone. I think we choose to bring the goodness out or not. Negative stuff makes us feel heavy. Positive stuff makes us feel light. Doing the right thing matters. Lovely words, very eloquent, and I wholeheartedly agree. World peace will come one day, T Purpose T Fount, he says, when Jesus returns. Well, that's what Christians say. Love thy neighbor, says Mork. I agree. I'm from the tribe of Americans. Well, there are American tribes, right? Native Americans were in tribes. A lot of tribal war, from what I've gathered. Intent is always, Sneezer says, what one has determined best to do, as misguided as it might be. Determined, but not yet carried out. Yes. God judges us based on intent. God is in charge of results. But still, where do you stand in the sense of actions? James Bong, pure blood, pure blood, God understands why it's misguided, how it's misguided, and why we don't understand. Right, so that's a kind of grace, a kind of chesed, right? That's kindness, that's a revelation of kindness. We don't need no education. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. And they have affected my life, spiritually speaking. They have broadened my mind with their music, sometimes with their lyrics. And speaking of positive things that make you light, it's something, Pink Floyd or something. Blueberry tea sounds lovely. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because of sin, Fat Gremlin. Because of sin, that's why babies get cancer. Well paraphrased, BMXers. Are we all becoming Hebrew? Well, again, de facto, the Hebrew people usually pertains to people who keep the Torah and the covenant. Jews of different sects and groups are people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the Hebrew faith, the Hebrew way. Over time, because of destruction and exile and then we became Jews, people of Judah, of Judea, Jews. But we were all people of the Hebrew faith. We were all Israelites. We who wrestle with God. We who contend with God. We are all descendants of Noah, says Bloodnose. Yes, that's true, according to the Torah. Hey, Tejas, leave us kids alone. Mind blown, Sneezer, BMXer says. USA, USA, the crowd cheers, says James Bong. Well paraphrased too, HN, quoting Radiohead, yeah? Love that band so much. I'm so happy I got to see them. I'm so happy I got to see them a few feet away from me in Tel Aviv. You were quoting Korn. Oh, okay, well, I didn't know that they covered Floyd. Shout out to my buddy Hugh Janus. That's right, man. Do you know, is he a buddy of Hugh Jass? Or a huge erection? Mr. C says, that's right, Mr. C, shout out. Shout it out. That's a good Balkan beatbox song, by the way. You people, you want some good chill music? And music that will also make you jump? Balkan beatbox, my friends. Balkan beatbox. For the first, I would say try Hermetico. It's a good one, Hermetico. It would take too long to describe. I've tried to put the loops in a video on my channel to help visualize. I'll Facebook you. Thank you, incidentally. It's been over an hour. And, speaking of Facebook, anybody, anywhere, anybody find me somebody to love? No. Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, across the board. I don't post much, but I'm in the DMs if you want to chat. Hebrew Nazarite, you'll find my tree. Too long to describe on YouTube. Chat, I mean. Understood. Hi, shalom aleichem, ve'alechem shalom. Alechem shalom. HN, I'm at peace most of the time. The path I was given and followed to the end was to understand my last hate. To understand its origin and, in doing so, root it out from you through understanding it. That's what I'm getting from what you said. Elvin Muertili, hello, shalom. Nice to see you here, Elvin. But it is the longest possible path. Greetings from Kenya. Hello, greetings from Jerusalem. God gave the shortest, said Sneezer. Assume they had the best intentions, not understanding. Forgive. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's Lauren Hill. Subscribe. Thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. Or Elvin. Mark Twain. Good. I like him. Yeah, he said some good things. He said some good things. Are you a Haredi, sir? No, I am not. I grew up modern Orthodox, which is not Haredi in any way, and nowadays I'm not a part of any sect or group. I'm just a Hebrew man, an Am Haaretz, a man of the people, doing my thing. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East. They know not what they do. Correct. Lovely is a pale description. It was tear-rippingly beautiful, realizing that nothing was extra, no waste, everything for a reason. Yeah. Now, that everything for a reason also comes with a great burden, because when the shit hits the fan, and it does, you need to carry that on you, whether it's things that are happening to you, whether it's things that are happening to the world, like babies getting cancer. You need to live in that world where babies get cancer. You need to live with that, with the possibility, faint or not, that something close to you might, it's just, ugh. What is the best way to cook possum, Phil Clogger asks. Well, since possum, I believe, is a non-kosher animal, I have never tasted it or cooked it, so I don't know what the best way is. But I think the best way to cook possum would be, first of all, you don't just go hunting, not in the wild, nothing, roadkill. Roadkill possum has got to be the best, especially if it's fresh, not if it's been already picked at by vultures or other kind of birds of, what are they called? Scavengers? Not scavengers. What are they called? Come on. Carry-on fowl. Ah, I got it. None of that. I mean, you saw the pickup truck run it over, boom, before the pickup driver can come and get it, you already got your spatula there, okay? That's what I'm saying. Roadkill, nice and fresh, okay? You move it, you have a barbecue going. You have a barbecue going at all times, 24/7, changing shifts. You want to be ready. You want to be ready. You put that possum right there, okay? Not a gas grill. I'm talking about coals. You got to replenish. Yes, it's wasteful. It's not good for the environment. Yes, you will pay the price. But damn it, if I don't like some good grilled possum, even though I've never had it. Even the worst of sufferings, says Sneezer. Did you make Aliyah, sir? Negative. I was born and raised in Israel. My parents made Aliyah from the United States. Shalom Nami. Kaf Hakela. So Kaf Hakela is first mentioned in the prayer of Hannah. It was Hannah, if I'm not mistaken. No. It wasn't Hannah. It was Avigail. Correct? I think it's Avigail. So Avigail, who was the wife of Naval of Carmel, Naval HaKarmeli. Kaf Hakela is a word used to describe a kind of atonement that exists after death. And it's first mentioned in the Old Testament, if you will, right? In the writing, in the prophets. Is it Tfilat? Yes. It's Avigail, right? Avigail goes out to meet David and his men because she knows that if they arrive at their home, they will leave nobody alive because of the insult that Naval insulted his men. And she heads them off. She goes there with an offering and she falls to her knees, right? And she begs, don't let that dumbass decide the fate of all of those people. Okay? Here is an offering. And don't attack our home. And she says to him that the soul or spirit, the nephesh, right, the living power, the living force of your enemies, may it be in a slingshot that throws it off course. Kaf hakela. Kaf means like a spoon, right? And a kela means a slingshot or a sling. No, slingshot. For instance, kela roim is what David used to kill, not to kill him, but to wound Goliath, or kill him with the stone to the forehead. Yeah, did he die right then and there, or did he behead him afterwards when he was still alive? I don't recall. I think he may have gotten him right then and there. Point is, Kafakela is one of the, it's known as one of the punishments, or at least that's what it's called. Sheol is different. Yes, Sheol is the underworld. It's not hell. Do people poop in the afterlife? Neil Warren asks. Hi, Neil Warren. So, by most scholars, people won't poop in the afterlife, but you will have the results of your wrongdoings. The bad things that came out of you. What should have been flushed down the toilet, you smeared it all over yourself and all over people's lives. You made life a kind of hell. You made life shitty for people with your shitty decisions. And so, to be boiling, like you were boiling to bully that person, you were boiling to say that insult, you were boiling to transgress, again, your heart pumping, I don't know what, sometimes you're even feeling that war inside of you of the wolves, right? And you feed the wrong wolf in those moments. And it's a kind of justice that is brought upon you. A kind of justice, mind you, not a definitive absolute justice. It's a kind of justice because din has many facets. Everybody poops, says Sneezer to Neil. Israel is the strongest nation on earth. I think each nation has its own strength. I think each nation has its own points of virtue, places which they ought to strengthen if they are not. Diabolical Man says, I'm a Jew, but nowadays I'm afraid to tell people I'm one because of all the things going on about Jews. Hey, I don't blame you. Not at all. Have not lost one war, says James Bong. That's right. Israel as a state has not lost one war. The last war we lost as a collective was against the Romans. Ata ish tov hatov. You're a good man, says Yodidiao. Thank you, I appreciate it. Unless you're speaking to someone else in the chat, which is entirely possible. I understand, Diabolical Man. Is it Assyrian or Assyrian? Are you an Essene? Or do you mean Assyrian? What is it? It's during our lives we usually boil in our own poop. I agree with that, Sneezer. Poop being misdeeds, results, yes. Going in I knew nothing, Sneezer continues and says. The realization that nothing cannot exist is a process during which I knew I was well protected. So you didn't know something going in, but you realized it as you were going through it, that I'm discovering things that are in such a high magnitude that I am well protected from other things which may have harmed me or brought me down, caused negativity, and brought bad things into my life. Okay. Robert, which one and what about him? BMXers asks. But you can get something out of nothing. I'm Kohen. Hello. Shalom Kohen. You can get something out of nothing. That's what traditionally happened with the story of creation, if you will. What's the difference between Tanakh, Torah, Talmud, by the way? Tanakh is an acronym of Torah, Nevi'im, Ktuvim. 5 books of Moses, writings of the prophets until Hosea, and then Hosea through Chronicles. And that's Divrei Hayamim. That's when the Hebrew Bible ends. And there are different things, books and writings which were not included in the Bible when it was canonized. Okay? Then there's Torah, which is the 5 books of Moses. And there's Talmud. Talmud is commentary on the Mishnah. The Mishnah is the oral tradition which was brought down orally for generations, from father to son, mother to daughter, master to apprentice. And then after Rome destroyed the temple, the sages decided, some of them anyway, that in order for the oral traditions to survive as they are now, they would have to be frozen in time to some degree, written down, even though it's not supposed to be written down. It's supposed to remain oral and update as the generations follow. The Talmud and the Mishnah are oral traditions that were written down in order to codify a mode of being in a temple-less existence. What we call now Orthodox Judaism, Rabbinic, Halacha Judaism. That is the difference between Tanakh, Torah, and Talmud. So to sum up, Torah is written Torah, part of the Tanakh. The T stands for Torah. And Talmud is an interpretation of the Torah that was oral, which was written down. There's a Babylonian Talmud and a Jerusalem Talmud. Many tractates, sets of arguments and debates were lost. And I'll leave it at that. Does that suffice? Hopefully that suffices. One more thing. The Talmud traditionally, I think, was sealed at the 3rd century of the Common Era, about 200, 300 years after the destruction of the Temple. Maybe it was the 4th century of the Common Era. The Torah traditionally, again, was given 35, 36,000 years ago, give or take. And the Tanakh was compiled, the 5 books of Moses, the writings, and the prophets, over the course of many generations, and the last book, chronologically speaking, to be added, I think, is the book of Esther. I think. If I'm not mistaken, the scroll of Esther. If I'm not mistaken. I might be. People, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sneezer says to Bong, nothing has ever existed when there is only one thing. That's God. Nothing has never existed. Nothing has never existed when there's only one thing, which means that it's not nothing. Right, so again, that argument about God, I stay out of it because I don't know God. Inherently, there is always something, James Bong says. Yes, Sneezer agrees. Splashfuzz says to Diabolical Man, don't be afraid to say you're Jewish. It'll be better. I've thought about that as well. I'm a Jew as well. Diabolical Man says, Robert Harrison, that's cool, man. Join us. A Kohen. Oh, I keep picking up my tea mug. There's no tea here for like 20 minutes. Tea. Tea. Okay. Plowing right ahead here. Sneezer says, for nothing to exist. See, exist, that already means something in this world, in creation, in existence. First, something would have to devour everything else, and then itself. Yeah, that's, again, where we... Oh, Ouroboros, okay. It was very, very much like that. I see what you're saying now. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's an interesting thing. Yeah, Facebook me, I want to see that video. Diabolical Man, or not. Welcome, my Jewish brother, says BMXers. Bong says, Hashem created everything, so in my opinion, there always was. Hashem created everything, so in my opinion, there always was. Yeah, hayahu v'yihiyeh, right? Substance-induced are at least kind of good, said Sneezer, because they give you a taste of what divinity can do for you. I agree, there's very much something to that, which is why they were used ritually. And again, much like things are used now therapeutically in a positive sense, they would be used ritually. It was probably the priest, speaking of priests, it was probably the priests and the prophets that facilitated as the shaman and the guide on these psychedelic substance-induced journeys and adventures. Yah created them and them. He gave man dominion over all things, but now it's too late. Man has lost their fate. Oh, eating up all the flesh from off the earth. Hey. Yeah, Bob Marley and the Wailers have some good music, man. This time I came back with clear purpose, world peace. A lovely and noble thing to strive for. A good purpose. And it starts with you, huh? It starts with us. At least 8 months till I was sure I wasn't insane. Yeah, you know what? Things that are significant, they take time. They take time. Great things take time. Robert says you care about the likes and the subs on HS's channel. Ha ha ha. I still appreciate it. I still do appreciate it. Okay, oh well, the chat jumped once again. The chat jumped once again. Oh, wait, where I am? Here I am. There, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. I have no idea how big the meaty was yet. Meaty. The meat? Meaty? The meteorite, okay. It fell in the sea, but some saw it in the sky. Ooh. Peace be upon you. Hello, Jesse Links. Good to see you again. To most Christians, BMXers says, they are actually not Jehovah. And the Lord spake, saying, says BMXers. Jai Shri Ram. Is this India? Lankesh. Hi, Lankesh. Good to see you. Do you chase raccoons in your free time? No, we don't have many raccoons here in Jerusalem, so I don't No. What we do have sometimes, occasionally, if I'm walking the doggo, or I'll see a tiny little porcupine, they're cute, and I'll wish it well, and and go on with my day, and hope that nobody steps on it, or squashes it, or runs over it. So I don't chase raccoons. I chase after children, my own usually, but and my free time, and I chase good things and bad things, but raccoons, no. Michael Caprice, hi Michael, I lost all your what? Don't leave me hanging. Who do you think you are? Jai Shri Ram once again. Yeah, but a caveman with crocheted locks. Hey, I agree. It's not era appropriate. He didn't have a crochet hook. Lankesh says Jesus Christ is human. He is not praised. Well, I don't praise him. But I do think that some things he said were spot on. But no, I don't consider him I don't praise him or consider him he's praiseworthy in the sense that he was a potential sage and a potential prophet, if indeed he was around doing what he did, as it says. Yep, Gremlin, says BMXers. Random is divine will. Yes, but it's a divine will that is manifesting, not from Keter. Random is opposed to in order. Chaos and order are a duality, and as such, it's a revelation of God coming from a place where the duality is already there. We're not quite getting the direct emanation from the root, which is the pure, let's say, divine will. Even that, there's purity and impurity. It's difficult to speak of such things, but it's the type of revelation where it's so close to being, knowing and understanding God himself, that Keter is an emanation that the Zohar and others don't speak of. Right? I liken it very much. I say that Chokhmah, which is the second emanation, the second Sphira, that's like inspiration. Bina is what you gain from it and what you learn from it and where you take it. So we have inspiration when something hits you, and then you have what you do afterwards. But we also have the place above where inspiration comes from, and we know it not. We can't define it. We can't put our finger on it. We can't conceptualize it. It's simply the place that is before inspiration hits. That place that causes that spark, and then that reaction, and then that place is Keter, the unknowable. Because we have things that we know that we don't know, and we have things we know that we know, and we have things that we don't know that we don't know. That can speak something of Keter. And over there, it's not random. By the time it comes down here to Malchut, down here to this world, a world after Eden, a world of good and evil, then yes, there's chaos and order, and sometimes chaos can reign, and sometimes chaos can threaten to overtake you and us. The flood is always coming. You better build an ark. 1.2 billion and still counting, says Lankesh. Christian will keep decreasing. If you say so. Personally, I would be happy if all Christians became Muslim, which includes faith in Jesus. Now, you would be happy if all Christians became Muslim. Okay. A specific type of Islam, or just converted? Haha, James Bong says, I lost all my hair, Michael Capri says, when I was 22. And what I've realized now at 52 is that the more hair I lost, the more head I had. What God takes away makes room for something better in your life. It certainly can help you to see life from a different perspective and through a different lens. And then you can choose, right, the negative or positive aspects and the way that you look at creation through that. Yes, I agree. There's to make room for something better, and there's also the room to make many mistakes. But to be true Muslims, Sneezer says, required having a pure heart at least once during their life while reading the Quran. It is a high standard to attempt. pure heart while reading the Quran. That is a difficult thing to do. The heart is something which we know has different chambers. Hearts can be broken, hearts can be mended, hearts can be ripped out and thrown into oncoming traffic. It's a very fragile and delicate thing. To keep it pure and clean, let's say, is a very high standard, I agree. So Sneezer says, why would you say that if you're not Muslim? BMXer says. Oh, Sneezer didn't say. Sneezer, why would you say that if you're not Muslim? BMXer says. Bong says, if I had a dime every time I've heard that online, Sneezer. There's 2 golf courses in Israel. Right, that's what I thought. Why are you so gay, bro? F Fury for Lives asks. Well, funny you should ask. One day, I woke up from a fabulous dream where I was bitten by a gay spider, and when I awoke, I felt so good about everything and everyone, and that's how I became the happiest in all the land, all gay, all the time. I'm so happy. Why am I gay? I'll tell you. Because life is gay, fancy-free. What are you planning? Something for the weekend, Smithers? Something gay, no doubt? Robert, only 2? Sneezer says, the soul hardened when we transgress. We return first as those we've hated transgressed against. And yes, the journey of our soul is harder. He's happy, and he knows it. That's right, I'm happy and gay. I am so gay. Robert, interesting, especially for me, says BMXers. BMXers, do you golf? Asks Robert. I would think he wouldn't. Sneezer says, the more neighbors you love, the lighter your heart/soul will be. You won't have to return twice for those you've hated, once hating, once as someone you've loved. To understand it from both facets, I see. Mork says, were medieval wizards simply just Jewish philosophers in disguise? I have no idea what medieval wizards were in the medieval times. Generally speaking, it's what, 500 to 1500 according to the Gregorian calendar, something like that? About 1,000 years, the Dark Ages. There are definitely Jewish Kabbalists who would qualify as medieval wizards if they lived in that time. Yes. Ariel says, evening, gentlemen. Evening, evening. Good to see you, Ariel. Look, Mummy, there's an aeroplane up in the sky. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, chills from that album, The Wall. Chills. As I mentioned before, I wrote a diary from 11 to my early 20s, from age 11 to after the army. And you can see me falling in love with Pink Floyd through those pages. And when I first saw the movie The Wall, I saw it many times afterwards. It was, what an experience, what an experience. And when I first heard, that guitar, Gilmore's guitar in Goodbye Blue Sky, and the harmonies and the violins or whatever string instrument, oh my God. What an album, what a rock opera. Doesn't do it justice, but yeah. Not only Jewish, Vedic too, Sneezer says to Mork. The Vedic, what are you saying that in response to? I don't remember what he said, but okay, let's keep going. It wasn't for me, it was for him, so let's just keep going. Wait, not only Jewish, Vedic too. BMXer says to Robert, nope, but I have and broke somebody's golf club. Oh, so you have. Look at that. You broke somebody's golf club. Was it an iron or a wood? Was it a putter? Did you break someone's putter? I threw it in the air for fun and had to pay for it. Ouch. Kolabasa. That sucks. Nanu, says Ariel Marshall. Correct. I've been on for an hour and a half. I love it. I like turtles, said Sneezer. How about Bigus Dickus? Oh, yes. I have a good friend in Rome called Bigus. Fun fact: maybe you people already know this. The extras that play the centurions, or the common soldiers, that is, right? He has a wife, you know. You know her name, right? They're the ones who the next one who laughs will be fighting predators by the end of the week, right? Wild animals. They said if you laugh, you lose your money, your extra pay. Yeah, they couldn't hold it together. I saw Pink Floyd in concert, by far the best musical spectacle in my opinion. Ariel, please share which tour, which years. Sneezer says, and did you see them more than once? I'm probably on the only people got kicked out of a Snoop Dogg concert for smoking weed. Oh, that is shit luck, Sneezer. That is terrible luck, to be kicked out of a Snoop concert for smoking herb. The irony. Oh my god. Ugh. Ay. The best musical spectacle. That's lovely. Kicked out of a Snoop Dogg concert for smoking weed. They made an airplane crash into the crowd, for fuck's sake, you say. Yep. Sneezer says, I never get away with anything wrong. I never get away with anything wrong. And that's the highest standard that I mean, it's a high standard when you comprehend it and you try to implement it. And so you better straighten up and do right and try to mitigate the wrongs. The Laugh Factory had a message retracted. What was it? The people want to know. And by that I mean me. A flying inflatable pig with torch eyes. Very cool, very cool. I had the chance to go to the Roger Waters concert in his Dark Side of the Moon tour. I bought tickets, and then because I didn't like some things he said about Tzahal, I returned them for a refund. The reason why I was able to get a refund is because many people were arriving, and instead of it being in, I think it was at Park Hayarkon, they decided to relocate it to Neve Shalom, which is a mixed Arab and Jewish community, and to raise a field of hummus and put the stage and the people there. They were growing hummus there. Let's have a moment of blessed, delicious silence for hummus. Oh, chickpea, garbanzo bean. Such goodness. Such goodness. Hate only being how misunderstanding feels. Exactly, said Sneezer. We only become what we hate until we understand it. That's what he says. Now, is there hate and evil that needs to be eradicated not by understanding but by destroying? That's a different way? Or is it simply that is the way, absolutely the way, the only way to root out malevolence, hate, evil, wickedness from oneself and from others and from all creation, as a result? How is Israel doing, the Laugh Factory asks. Well, Israel is in a shitty situation, and people here at the home front are trying to live out our lives, because if, we're all of us are in deep shit, and life must go on. That's what we do. Only the good die young, Sneezer says. Those babies and children who die early were people who died full of hate, needing to come back once more to experience love in human form, and having been purified in previous lives, they don't need to suffer like we do, having already suffered enough during their death questioning. Tell me more about the death questioning, Sneezer. I'm curious. And there are different schools of thought that say exactly that. They came there to fix a very specific thing and amend a specific thing, to be here to reach a certain completion or wholeness of themselves, and they can then part from this world early. I don't think I heard you answer me about the Leviathan. No, because I haven't read all of yesterday's chat yet, nor have I read all of last week's chats yet. I just got sucked into this chat right here. You people are so lovely, so engaging, so wonderful. It's good to be here with you. So good. Perhaps on that note, I shall say good night from Jerusalem. A couple more minutes, let's say. I don't think I heard you about the Leviathan. What we gonna do if we catch it at the right moment, but we find out that it has no fins and scales and therefore is not kosher? Well, that's the thing. It's said, right? Se'uda shel shora habar ve'livyatan. It's said that we will be feasting on Leviathan. And I think that's supposed to be figurative because, or at least it should be taken as such. If you're arriving at eradicating that evil which Leviathan represents, if you are talking about rooting out evil from the world, coming full circle back to Eden, and being able to partake of the fruit of the tree of life, then there will not be any kosher, non-kosher. That is a duality that will not exist because we will no longer be in a reality consciousness world of duality. Creation will have been elevated past that place, if you will. So the fact that there's no fins or scales, if you're looking at it physically, if it has no fins and scales, then either the laws of kashrut have been abolished because of the nature of the times. It's a means to an end, yes? Or we don't eat it, it's not kosher, and life goes on. In other words, said Sneezer, we live so long mainly because of the mistakes we've made. Yes, there is something to that. Mistakes we've made, the revelation of patience, yes. And need to learn to be who we need to become. Sneezer, bringing it. You're certainly bringing it. Yes, who we need to become, who we ought to become. Whether it's through pain or pleasure, understanding comes. Ariel, Sneezer says, Ariel, he did answer it. I forget what he said, though. I think that he didn't understand. No, I probably didn't understand, but I do recall speaking of Leviathan. I would assume let it go, Ariel says. Where is Israel? Well, the precise borders of Israel are disputed, whether it's the biblical land of Israel or the modern-day state of Israel in its borders. Always. Israel is a geographical location. Israel is also a kind of state of mind, speaking of Hebrew versus Jew versus, but where is it? It is above Egypt and on the shore of the Mediterranean, right above the Red Sea or the Reed Sea, however you want to call it. We have Lebanon and Syria to the north. We have the Jordan River and Jordan to the east, the Mediterranean to the west and a shoreline, and we have Egypt to the south. And we are a sort of convergence where parts of Africa, Egypt, right, and Asia and Europe. It's a kind of convergence, which is why there's an ancient map that shows Europe, Asia, Africa, and Jerusalem in the middle. So you're saying life is punishment executional experience, a punishment executional experience, Sneezer, Ariel asks. The laugh factory in our hearts, inside the church, our bodies, right, there's the spiritual one, yeah. I used to clean public bathrooms. I did that for one day, and I was like, no, I can do better than this for minimum wage. I'll do something else. People do, in fact, smear shit. People smear shit on everything. In some ways, part of the reason why some modern art is made of feces, excrement, right, human excrement, is because it really, truly is the only thing that we physically create. Our urine and our excrement, our sweat, our blood. Something that we really create. So if we're talking about art and if we're talking about creation and being creative, why not create art and be creative with that which I create physically, biologically? That would be the most, go-to thing to be creative with, people say. So yeah, people smear shit on everything. And I'm not knocking but it's just not fun for the people who need to clean it. I did that once. I cleaned bathrooms in a gym for one day. And I was like, no, I can do better than this. I didn't even go and pick up my one-day paycheck from the company's offices. I was like, just forget that. I'll go back to working security, which I did. Or I was in some retail store after that. But no. And it wasn't that it was beneath me. It was that other things that were not as a pain in the ass were up for grabs. Thank God. It wasn't a last resort. I went back to security or retail. Sort of, says Ariel, sort of, says Sneezer, only because it's half good, half bad, as opposed to heaven, which is all good. Though that too is more of a choice than most of us think. So punishment, executional, but also we have the all goodness. Yeah, it exists here, right? I'm inclined to agree. We create our own heaven and hell here in this world. With or without a harness and tracking device, Robert, then prophecy won't be fulfilled. Wait, what did Robert say? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I thought before earlier he was referring to Leviathan, but I might be wrong. Exactly, well protected. Okay. Poop does not boil. Second of all, who would even think about that? Our sages in the Talmud think about that. Boiling excrement and boiling semen, or sperm, rather, are punishments that are mentioned in the Midrash, in the Talmud, and possibly in Midrash and Talmud. I think it is the Vedas or Vedic literature, Sneezer says to Rob. Bet you could boil it at the right consistency. Ew, says Ariel, I agree. Basically, each author describes hell as the worst things they can imagine, Sneezer says. Distorted, Monday motivation. Hi, Distorted. Keep it real with yourself and focus on your goals. Be ambitious and you will attract like-minded people who love to piss in butts. Poetry in motion. There isn't a feeling quite like pissing in a butt. Sneezer says an arachnophobic would surely fill hell with spiders. Something like that, yes. Again says, what about the punishment for women that cause a man to have a funky dream? What about the punishment for women that cause a man to have a funky dream? I am not aware of the punishment particular to women. Can you elaborate on that, Ariel? I'm curious. The laugh, BMXer says, the church is in Israel, but Israel is not the church. The church is in Israel, but Judaism is not in the church. I hear you. Physically there, but not theologically, if you will. So Sneezer says, one of the Vedas describes worlds of utter darkness. And I've been to a few. In them too was love. Voila. That is something, man. Okay. On that note, okay, let's read that one more time and then I'll say goodbye. One of the Vedas describes worlds of utter darkness, and I've been to a few. In them too was love, says Sneezer. May I, lead the kind of life that will be able to bring light and love to dark places, and also, right? And also to be honest and righteous. It's not all light and love. Those two can be corrupted. To be able to lift enough filters, not all of them, in measure, that I will be able, God willing, and all of us, to accept more light and love and keep our checks and balances within us, fortify ourselves with it, and not let it carry us astray. To be able to spread more love in a positive way, God willing. So on that note of Sneezer, who so eloquently said, in them too was love, I hope that even whatever it is you're going through right now, the shitty things, the utter darkness, or a minor darkness, I don't speak in absolute, minor, major, utter, whatever the case may be, I hope that you are able to be the person who, in those circumstances, is able to still have gratitude and love and help spread gratitude and love, God willing, and that life may treat us with some degree of kindness, because we need it. Good night from Israel, good night from Jerusalem. I appreciate you guys, every sub, every like, every view, every click, every troll, every interaction, your wisdom, your knowledge. It's fun to engage with you, it's fun to learn from you, it's fun to learn with you, and it's nice to have this group Monday motivation indeed. So may we all be motivated, may we all not count or bank on motivation, but when it comes, may we put it to good-ass use. There's good-ass and there's bad-ass, and may we learn with our goodness when to be a bad-ass. And be good to your ass. piss and butts, foots and asses, to quote Red Foreman.